Today we're going to go into the spellcaster grouping. This is the third grouping in our system, so be sure to check out the one on marshals before you go through this one. In that we break down the ability die system, which is what actually is the resource and how to utilize the ability system. Now, something I did forget, so let me go ahead and go over those. So every grouping has a basic ability. And this ability will speed up as you go along, starting off generally at 2 seconds, except for specific ones. The technician is slightly different, so I'm going to break both down so you understand. So for the marshals, it's basic attack. This is your attack speed. So as you're going and building levels as your martial character, you will be able to attack more often in each round. So your first one starts off at 2 seconds. And since we have 3 seconds per turn, this leaves you a little time to run or maneuver in different ways. But I believe at around level 12, I'd have to refer to the document. But it's all in the playtest document. If you check my profile, you'll be able to see the link to the early access version of it and be able to check these rules as written right now. Now, it'll drop down to being 1 second and eventually into half a second. Now you might go, well, once I have 1 second, this means I can do 3 per turn. But you get 2 for free. Your extra one will actually cost you a point of stamina. And the same with the last one. You would have 3 for free, but you could pay 3 stamina and have a total of 6 attacks per turn at that point, utilizing your full time allotment. For technicians, this works slightly different. The first improvement of speed allows you to decrease the time at which you can do said skill or tool check, which is you will have a list for each class and which ones actually count. Now, this will make it at half speed, then at quarter speed, thus allowing you to be faster at these skill checks and usage of tools. But let's go ahead and get on to the at selection features. There are 3 at selection features for the spellcaster grouping: Arcane Reserves, Arcane Affinity, and Muscle Memory. So to go over Arcane Reserves first, this is much like Second Wind for the Martial. This allows you to roll an ability die and gain some of your mana back. Arcane Affinity is the way that you are able to, as a spellcaster, pick up magical items and utilize them for the powers they have. The difference between normal magical items, as you would normally expect, is actually an enchanted item. They have been enchanted with this effect or bonus to them, which is something that anyone can use. But a magical item actually takes arcana or higher magical stat, if you will, to be able to utilize and have its effects. Now, some of these on the higher level ones will actually have more power unlock as you level up based off of your arcana modifier. The last one is Muscle Memory, and as I said, every grouping has this to give extra reactions, and they will end up with a max of 2. Next, let's start going over the actual abilities that the grouping gives you access to. The first ability is Channeling. This has 2 particular usages. One is to be able to enchant items, which will be explained later when our magical crafting arrives in round 3 of the playtest document. Currently, upon recording this video, we're in playtest round 1, just for your information. But the other usage is mainly for those who pick a subclass and take a bit of martial ability, or those who use a dual grouping like Paladin or Dragon Mage. These 2 classes will excel on the concept of applying magical spell damage and channeling it into attack. This will make your attack roll much harder, but as you grow in ability, it will become more commonly to be able to hit, just like your regular attacks. It'll still be harder, but we'll gain a higher percentage of being able to be used. The second one is Dispel. I believe every mage, every spellcaster, anyone who is in tune with magic should be able to dispel basic spells. This is not a counter spell, that is a whole nother thing in our system, but to basically be able to have the ability or chance to be able to dispel a set spell or continuous effect should be there for spellcasters. Same as the prior one, Detect Arcana should be something all spellcasters can do. You are fully capable of casting spells. Why should you not be able to be aware of magical energies? Dualcast is something that kind of came from video games, but it's about time it actually exists in TTRPGs as a base mechanic. This is the ability for you to channel shooting a spell with two hands, meaning two different spells. Some of our spells will come as two-hand and some are one-hand. This allows you to cast two one-handed spells to combine effect or multi-effect. Empowered spell would be more commonly known to 5e players as upcasting. This is adding extra damage or expanding or increasing the effect of the spell depending on what it is. The sixth one is identify magic. It again is another one that I fully believe that all spellcasters should be able to have the ability to do. Even if they're not great at it because of lower arcana, they still should have the ability to try and identify the specific usage or what the result is of the spell that is on said item or just the spell they come across. Lastly, the seventh ability is suppress arcana. Again, like the prior one, this is something that all spellcasters should have the ability to do. If they can push out magic to be able to cast a spell, one should be able to suppress and hide its presence from those who can detect arcana. Lastly, I'd like to describe three aspects that you will find on every spell, so therefore is very influential on this grouping. This will be miscasting, empowerment, as well as the training levels. Now to break each one of these down, the miscasting system is, in effect, picture if wild magic's results were possible for all spellcasters, because isn't magic supposed to be really difficult and hard to master? Well, this is a part of our system that's representing this. Now, as you grow in training levels on the miscasting check, which would be Arcana, you will be able to roll an ability die and a skill die and get bonuses added to it. At first, you won't even have your modifier, but as you increase the training levels, you will be able to add your modifier and a skill die later on, more easily guaranteeing you to not fail your miscasting check. Basically, at mastered level, unless you roll a nat 1, you will not miscast. Empowerment is a part of each spell. You can pay extra mana and more time and be able to actually add or empower certain effects of the spell. This can be done in tandem with the empowerment ability of the spellcaster grouping. Spell training levels are there to represent you training this specific spell, and as you do, not only will its effect or damage increase, but it can gain extra unique effects or wider distance of effect. Each one is uniquely designed to represent the spell it's a part of. So, go ahead and check out our other videos on the different groupings, and do check out our one coming out soon on how we handled psionics. Until next time, and I'll catch you later.